It takes a lot of ingredients to fix or build a car, like cooking, but without the frozen dinner easy way out. eBay Motors has 122 million parts. It's always the right fitment, so you can follow any recipe to a T. Whether it's a vintage Italian coupe that's classic like Grandma's meatballs or a German luxury car that's as complicated as Oma's rouladen, to cook up something great in the garage, use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Give your heart some love with circulation-boosting bioactives, proven to improve blood flow for better oxygen and nutrient delivery. Boost circulation from day one for better cardiovascular performance that keeps improving over time. Try CocoVia Cardio Health Supplement, available as a capsule or a powder. Visit cocovia.com today. That's COCOAVIA.com and use coupon code CCV20 to get 20% off your order. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease.
Hey everyone, this is the Almost World Podcast. Bringing to you mind-blowing interviews with guests from all over the world. So settle down, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh yeah, by the way, if you like the podcast, please support Elmo's World Podcast on Patreon. Your support is what helps the podcast improve more and more. And we have a friend, his name is Karlo Sliskovic.
Yeah,
Karlo,
right.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Karlo Sliskovic or Sliskovic. I'm born in Bosnia. I'm Croatian. My girlfriend is Serbian. And Bosnia, Croatia, and Serbia were a part of Yugoslavia, which is a country which got destroyed in the 90s in a civil war. I was a refugee and went to Germany, and then I came back, and then I went to Germany again. There I did my school, and basically I'm 29 years old now. I'm interested in philosophy and basically all knowledge, and I like to express my worldviews, and my confession is actually Christian, but I'm not the type of guy who is dismissing any other religions. I'm actually accepting almost all religions, because I think faith is something important, because through faith you can gain a lot of strength, even though it might be irrational for some people. But on the other hand, sometimes you find yourself in really fucking shitty situations in which you need faith to get out of it, and therefore I'm kind of a believer.
But it's interesting because you mentioned that you're a refugee. Before we could dive into your philosophy, can you tell us about your life story? I think that would be very interesting.
Sure, we can go with the flow. I said I wanted to talk about philosophy, but I'm also open to just answer your questions. Refugee. I mean, when I was born in 1991, and the war started in 91. So 95, we went to Germany, and I basically lived the first 4 years in a war country. So I can actually remember a lot of happenings when I was very young. So therefore, because I was raised in a warlike country, I very early asked myself certain questions like, why does war happen? And how can it be that adults are not controlling this? Or better to say, what is the actual reason for war? I never understood it until I got like 16, 20, or 25, until I really understood that most of the time there's just interests, and some people are just grinding those interests and not giving a fuck about what everybody else says, and they're doing this through military power. But when I was a kid, I always thought like there was a reason to do this. Now I know that there is no reason. There is just ignorance on all sides of the parties. So refugee lifestyle was like living in Bosnia then going to Germany by bus, then living there in many refugee camps. My father couldn't come with us because he didn't got the visa, so we were like kids with my mother in a foreign country, couldn't speak the language, and just basically were sent to a lot of places. And then 1999, when the war was over, we just got sent back. So we went back to a country which was totally destroyed, and we had nothing. So my mother had to like work in Germany again, and this was the reason my parents divorced. And then there was all kinds of shit, and then we had to go to Croatia to find like money and to kind of live. But our destiny wasn't the only one. Like a lot of the people at that time had the same destiny, that they returned from countries in which they were refugees to countries which got destroyed and basically had no economic power at all. So we kind of had to figure out how to manage this. So eventually my mother married somebody from Germany who was actually a kind of manager of this refugee home we lived in. And then me and my brother could come to Germany again and like live here. So that's the basic refugee story of myself.
What led you to studying philosophy and focusing on thinking about life and everything in general?
Yes, thank you for this beautiful question. Basically, it was like this. I always ask myself, how can it be? Like, what is the reason? And up until the point where I got like 16, I always thought that in this system that there's a goal, like that there's a goal that I'm going to school, and when I go to school that there will be like something. But when I finished my school, I realized that I just got dropped like out of school. Like I did 10 years of school, and then it was like, okay, now you're done with school. Now you can go in your life. And I was like shocked. Like I thought, why? Because I thought school is supposed to teach me something, but basically school didn't teach me anything. School just taught me that there's a system in which I have to be, and I have to play my role. But it did not taught me like why the world works, what's the reason the nations are established, what's the reason the systems are established, what's the reason all laws are established. So the reason why I went into philosophy, I mean, the first reason was because I read the book from Homer, Elias, in which he talks about how Achilles is like destroying Troy. And in this book, I realized that the people from old Greece, they had a completely different worldview than we have today, because they believed in old gods like Zeus and Aphrodite and something like that. And we believe like in, I don't know, I think we believe in science, I would say. So, but the difference is that there is actually no difference, because the people from old Greece believed in love, and they believed in passion, and they believed in humanity as much as we do today, or the Christians, or actually everywhere. Everywhere the people believe like in humanity. It's just some believe it more or some less. And what I wanted to say is that nowadays I oftentimes ask myself, why are we still in a situation 2020 where the laws and the politics are still diminishing this humanity and are still doing great shit towards, let's say, poor people, or handicapped people, or old people, or young people, you know, all these injustices. And this is the reason why I started to study philosophy, because I wanted to know the origins of the thoughts of the people.
Okay, so what have you found being the origin of the thoughts of the people?
The origins of the thoughts of the people is basically nature. The old Greeks, like the Egyptians and all others, were all studying nature. They did not study like maths or sciences. They first studied nature, and after they studied nature, they started to establish certain sciences. That being said, the more we destroy nature, the less we will gain knowledge, and the less we will actually be humans.
Okay, that's a very interesting thought. Can you describe how the Greeks studied nature in the past?
Well, there were certain philosophers who did it in a more, let's say, perceptive way, like Pythagoras, Anaximander, or Heraclit. But one of the greatest philosophers ever known is Socrates. And what he basically did is he just chilled, He just chilled and he just observed what is happening. And if you were ever in Athens, Greece, you would know that there the temperature is very nice, the sun is very nice, the wind is very nice. And back then the people did not destroy their homes, and in the night you could see a lot of stars, and the nature was just, let's say, untouched. So what Socrates did was he was just observing what is happening, and by looking at nature and feeling himself as human, he realized the simple truths also of human behavior, human sociology, and human needs in life. Therefore, he was able to contradict every logic which was thrown at him, because he was always talking from a standpoint of simple truth, and he was never like trying to idealistically imagine something that's not there. He would always come to the simple truths, and the people had to agree with him.
And so I'm curious though. What is your school of thought that you cling to when trying to understand reality?
The school of thought thing is, I refuse to bound myself to one particular school of thought. I'm always trying to find the connections between all schools of thought, from Muslim schools of thought like Rumi to Hindu schools of thought like Bhagavad Gita, over Christian schools of thought like Jesus to Socrates schools of thought. All these schools of thought are trying to say one and the same thing, and that is to be a human and to enjoy life and not to destroy, but to create and be peaceful and try to find justice and protect children and protect the weak and don't be a destructive asshole. And this is like my school of thought. I said I'm a believer, so I do pray, but when I pray to God, I pray like, please make it so everybody's happy, and all those people who are induced with evil, help them to see that they're evil. Most of the time the people don't even know they're doing wrong. They think they're doing the right thing, but they're mostly ignorant. Sometimes they also just defy themselves, deny themselves, and they have learned to lie to get where they are, and to destroy their principles. And the thing is that if we all do this, then we are all going to die, and we're all cease to exist, and therefore we have to turn around. We all have to be in love, and have to be happy, and have to be good to each other, so we can procreate, so we can make new humans. And the philosophy that of antinatalism, that you don't create any humans anymore, is the dumbest in the world. And also that the world is overpopulated is also wrong. The world is not overpopulated. It's just that some people, 1%, own more than 99%, and this is irrational. Well, I'm definitely believing in Neoplatonism from Plotin and Platon, that they say that all this physical, what we see, is just a shadow of the idea that is before the physical appearance. So what that means is that everything that is physically manifested right now exists a priori the physical manifestation as an idea in a what we call maybe in an ideal world or in a spiritual world or in a, they say also, Platonic world. This is Plato's philosophy. But interesting is that this Plato's philosophy correlates to the Hindu philosophy, and the Hindu philosophy says the exact same thing. And I think also the Egyptian Thoth philosophy says the same. That everything that is physical right now, every object, every form has its idea. Therefore, when you die, you don't die. What dies is your body, but your idea of yourself doesn't die. You actually exist further.
Yeah, and so I think then that you believe also in a way in the spiritual realm, because
yes, because
you're talking
the
about
point is that there are
an
certain things in
afterlife,
life,
right?
which are not explainable, like, for example, inspiration and intuition. We all like to talk about logic, like everything's logic, but actually a lot of things aren't logic at all. Like how the universe behaves is not logic, and how particles are created is not logic, how the electrons are moving is not logic, quantum entanglement, for example, is not logic. And what is also not logic is that you have ideas, because where are your ideas coming from? You know, sometimes you have the idea, you want to create something, you want to paint something, you want to make a podcast, you want to express yourself, you want to do something which you love. All this is not logical, because logic is something like, you see a blue garbage can and you have a cigarette in your hand, and this is the only logic that you have. You should not have the idea to all of a sudden jump out of the window, let's say. This is irrational. So all ideas that you have are not logics. They are coming from somewhere completely else.
Yeah, and so you talked a little deeper into the philosophy of mind, right? So I'm guessing that would you believe that the consciousness is something that could not exist in a physical world?
The universe itself created this consciousness. Okay? So before the universe creates something, it has to have a blueprint on what is it able to create. Like, let's say, the seed of an apple. The seed of an apple has all the DNA and all the code in the apple. You know, if you plant the apple seed, you will grow an apple tree. You will not grow a banana tree, right? It will be an apple tree. Same with the universe. Everything that the universe has created, the universe knew already before what is it capable of creating. So it created consciousness, obviously. We are aware, right? So the question is, why did the universe create consciousness in us? And so the question is did it only create it in us, or is it actually all around us? You know what I'm saying? So this is the question, because if the universe is able to create consciousness in us, then it is also able to create consciousness in whatever it wants to create consciousness. And the other question is, this is the coin flip. Every time you have an idea of something, you also have to look at it from the other perspective. The other question is consciousness actually an illusion? This is the other perspective. Like, are we actually just saying that we're conscious, or are we just doing like things predetermined? Are we actually just robots? This is the other question. But I do not concern myself with this question, because I'm on the other side. I'm saying that we are conscious, we are the universe observing itself through us, and most likely it is that the universe itself is completely conscious. This is a panpsychist view, right? Although they are symbiotic, because a panpsychic view can also be a monopsychic view, because if I say everything is consciousness, or everything, the universe in its entirety is one, then I also say I believe in monoism. Because if I say I believe in God, then I say I believe in something good, something progressive, and something for life. The universe itself is always sustaining itself. It wants to live. So therefore, I believe in the good. I pray to God because the Christian style of praying is nice. It is very positive. So I do this, but ultimately, it is symbiotic. I do not believe that there's, for example, an old man chilling somewhere and overlooking everything. I believe that God is all around us and we are God, and that we just have to be in line with consciousness, in line with the universe and its will. I did not concern myself a lot with Spinoza. I liked what he said, but as far as I know, I'm not ultimately totally in line with his.
Yeah, okay, but what I meant was that the universe is God, or is God like manifests himself in the universe, but it also has a separate
Well,
form
as I said,
outside the
I believe in
universe.
Neoplatonism, and Neoplatonism explains it like this: there is one God, and this God is the one. Like, you can also call it the nothingness or the everything, because nothing is everything. Because, for example, if you close your eyes, you see nothing, and you also see everything. Because if you have everything, there is no distinction anymore. You see just everything. You don't see any differences anymore. So nothing and everything is exactly the same. So this is the Neoplatonic definition of God, the so-called one. Now, from the one comes down the spirit, like this is like the will, like you have nothing and you have everything, and then you have the intention of or the creative power of what do you want actually to create, like what do you want to create from nothing or from everything. And then you have like let's say the soul, which is like the life force, which is like giving the physical properties its properties, like which is manifesting the physical forms. So this is what I believe. You have physical, and everything that is physical had already an idea, and above this idea is this what we call God, and this God is everything, like all the good stuff, and also all the evil stuff. So this what we call God is everything. So it is also all the degenerate shit and all the evil shit. But this God itself doesn't judge. This God itself is just the one light, let's say, or the one pure thing, and we are the ones who are judging. We are the ones who are trying to be good and be procreative. We have it in our power. So by our actions and by our thoughts, because we know from experience in life that if we do evil things, that we are not happy. If we regret a lot of things. If I, let's say, hurt somebody, I regret it. Some people don't. Some people are addicted to doing evil shit, but ultimately they aren't feeling good, because eventually, when you get old, you want to be kind of loved. You want to be kind of cared for. You want to be kind of you look back at your life and you want to be kind of proud of your life, because you have only one. So when you do evil shit today, you might not get the paycheck today, but you will get it later, by everything you did. So it's better to be a good person and a creative person, because you have to ask yourself, you have two directions, like dualism. You can create or you can destroy. If you destroy, there is nothing. And when there is nothing, then there's nothing to talk about, nothing to speak about, and you get lonely and ass. But when you create, there is everything. There is like you and me, your brother, your sister, everything we love. dogs, cats, animals, all the beautiful stuff, all the beautiful things, and you have the decision where you want to go. Do you want to destroy this planet, or do you want to create this planet? And this is like your decision as a soul, which comes from God.
Yeah, and you mentioned being good, so do you believe in objective moral standards? Okay. And what is the ontology of this? Is it more about divine command or something that is there's an actual rule out there in the universe that we should follow of what is good or bad?
Well, yes, you can just look at life at the early stages. For example, when the child is born. When the child is born, the human child, but sustain itself. If you just drop it on the ground, it will just die. So we have to care for it, So this is the basic logic of all humanity. We have to care for each other. If your woman drops a child and you don't care for it, it will cease. If the child ceases, then we all cease, right? Right. But we have to care for it and we have to bring it up. And the child is a blueprint. It doesn't know anything. So you have to teach it. What are you going to teach it? Is the question. Are you teaching it love? Hopefully. Compassion, creativeness, and courage. This will bring more love, and it will spread more love. If you are teaching it other bad stuff, then it will destroy. So this is the moral. This is the objective moral. It's just that if you live in a corrupt system like this, which we are living in, you are losing this moral, and you don't believe, like I did, you don't believe any of the adults, any of the politicians, anyone in charge, because you can judge them by their results. The results are degenerate, and they're taking money from the people, they're taking their lives. Therefore, I can understand people who lose complete faith in humanity and all objective morals.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, because you also believe in objective morals, I would assume that you believe in free will as well.
Sorry. First of all, you are responsible for everything that you do. So you have free will. And free will, the universe itself banked out of free will, It was the universe's will to bank, and it is the universe's will to still be alive and to still create. The quantum physics say that you cannot actually say what the particle is going to do. You only have a certain percentage of what is it maybe going to do. And this is also because the particle itself is will. The particle knows exactly where does it wants to go, and it changes its direction as soon as you try to observe it. This is the same with you. If you are in a room and you're doing something, and all of a sudden somebody is putting a camera on you, you are behaving artificially. If you know you are observed, then you are not free anymore.
So then what is your view on causal determinism?
Determinism basically is the coin flip of free will, because this is what I said before. I said that everything is consciousness and everything is will, and this is the coin flip where somebody says no, everything is predetermined and everything is just a script. This is just the opposite belief. Because the opposite belief said that everything which happens is predetermined, and all of this is just like a simulation, an AI, and you can't actually get out of it. But I think that's absolutely foolish, because we know that if we are examining something, that we find logics all the time and expand our prisma of knowledge. And we are presented logics and new knowledge on a regular basis. So determinists are just lazy. They just want to say, yeah, everything is predetermined. There's no reason to examine anything anymore. So this is a nihilistic view on the world, like that like nothing matters. And the only reason I believe they can believe in this is that they are not creative enough, or they are too lazy to actually try to find the truth. They just they don't want others to find the truth. They just want to have a stalemate, a status quo, in which they just don't try to understand what's really going on.
Okay, that's cool. And so I want to ask then, for example, when you look at, when you have free will, but you also believe in a causal universe, but when you, what is your view on the quantum mechanics of things? Is everything random, or is it everything like in a in an entropy, but with a direction that is brings order?
Everything is in an order, because if all were chaos, there would be no laws. No laws of gravity, no laws of light, no laws of nature, biochemistry, and electromagnetism. All that shit would not exist, because that shit is logic. It is a logic in itself. So, therefore, about quantum mechanics, the quantum mechanics are teaching us what's actually really going on. We just don't understand it, because we are too uncreative in our scientific logic, in which we think that we have to write everything down and everything has to follow our logic. But the quantum mechanics are showing us that our linear perception of the world is not sufficient enough to understand what's really going on.
And like we've talked about philosophy, morality, and free will. And in terms of, for example, your own personal values, how does philosophy affect your daily behavior in life? You being a normal person.
Mhm. Since I read philosophy and history, I can be assured of my own principles. I can be assured that my principle of love, principle of creation, and principle of seeking wisdom correlates to the principles of my ancestors and the principles of the people who were here before me. So I feel good when I read Socrates, or when I read Jesus, or when I read Rumi, or when I read Buddha, or when I read Muhammad, that all these people try to establish a just, full world. And I want to be one of them. And I want to be that my people around me are also one of them, that we establish a world in which a kid can grow without the fear of being violated by some assholes who are ignorant and who are taking advantage of the goodness of the other people.
And when you look at, for example, all these organized religions, the big ones, what do you see when you look at someone, for example, a Christian who has full conviction of his faith, that he really believes that he's going to heaven? Is he in illusion, or?
Yes, yes. First of all the big institutions are corrupted by power. Whatever they are corrupted by power. So it doesn't matter if this is the religions, or the politicians, or the NGOs, or your local sports club. They are all corrupted by power, because they love to control other people. So if we take, for example, a fool who believes in the scripture of, let's say, Jesus, then that fool believes more in the words than in the actual teachings. And he would rather kill his own brother to prove that he's right than to live by the word which was sent to him by his prophet. The reason why they raped Jesus was because he was a Jew, and he said, "Look, guys, you are doing wrong things to your people." And then they crucified him. because he was talking truth, because he was pointing at the problems. Jesus did not care about the teachings, but Jesus was Jew. So the same thing happens today, or happened before in the Inquisition and by the Romans with, I think his name was something with, and Constantine, yeah. He infiltrated religion, made it, or he infiltrated Christianity, made it world religion, and from that standpoint started to persecute everyone who is not in his line of thought. And what I want to say is that the scriptures don't matter at all. What matters is what you do. So all the hypocritical Christians are doing the bad thing. And not only the Christians, we're talking about everyone. We're talking about politicians, we're talking about those so-called light workers, we're talking about spiritual people, we're talking about everyone and everything who has good intentions, but his results are bad. This is the main thing. If your results are bad, then there's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I was, let's say, I was in psychiatry lately because the police beat me up and I didn't commit a crime, so they put me in psychiatry for 20 days. I had 10 days medication and 10 days not. You know, I'm completely rational. But in this clinic, I realized a lot of people who are so-called maniacs, they don't understand what they're doing, and some of those people, for example, they think that they are doing the good, but they're doing the completely opposite. For example, they would come to you and they would talk with you and they would talk about the good, they would talk about peace and love, but what they would always do and always would do, they would always impose their own order upon you, you know. So if you would drink a cup of water now, they would say, don't drink this cup of water because something might happen, blah, blah, blah. And you were like, hey, let me just chill, let me just drink my water. And they were like, no, you can't, because you would defy the gods or some crap like this, you know. So this is the definition of a maniac. He can just operate in his own logic, and he doesn't understand that he has to let his brother live in peace.
Mm-hmm. I see. And then when you talk about mania, in a way you're comparing it to those people who are in organized religion trying to impose their own beliefs upon others, right?
Yes, I do. Because they're in a mania, they cannot step back, they cannot see the big picture, they can see only one little thing, one little logic. And in this logic they're operating, and this mania is not only applied on big institutions and Christians, it is applied on everyone and everything who can see only his own logic, like his own 1 + 1 is 2, but he doesn't understand that 1 and 1 is 2 and 1. For example, you can also just turn the logic around. You can perceive logic from many different ways, and in which they all connect. And you shall not impose your own logic upon somebody who has a completely different perspective. You know what Einstein said is like, we are teaching fish to climb trees like monkeys. You know what I'm saying? There are people who have certain abilities, certain talents. I'm a painter, for example, or a musician or a philosopher, but I'm not a fucking physicist. You know, I do understand some form of quantum mechanics and the basic physics, but I can't build a airplane or something like that. This is not my profession, you know. So this is the problem with the educational system, is that they're teaching the humans to behave only in one logic. Therefore, it's also called university, because uni is one. University, one way of thinking, but it should be called a multiversity, multiple ways of thinking, multiple ways of creating. This is why the entire civilization now is in a stalemate. We have to kind of educate our people in a way that they are pursuing their own goals and not the goals which are imposed on them. For example, I had a very good friend. He was a great guitar player. He was fantastic, absolutely great. If you would hear him, you would think he's Michael Jackson on guitar or something like that. But then he went to college, and because he couldn't study guitar, he started to study singing in the opera. And eventually he finished it, and he is now an opera singer. But he's not as amazing as he was as a guitar player, you know. This is like the problem. If you're good at physics, it doesn't mean that you should like study, let's say, engineering. It just means that you should study your own talent, whatever that is. And the problem is that it is given too much power for the idiots, because the people who are studying economics and politics are giving the most power, but they are the most idiots of them all, because they are the most corrupt. If somebody is smart and he is studying physics or philosophy or maybe biochemistry, chemicals and stuff like that, sociology as well, psychology, these are very, very intelligent topics, but the most power have the economics, who are just imposing their system on everybody, and the politicians who have no system at all except winning for every cause. It doesn't matter how, just win. You know, they have no principles. The politicians have no principles, and the economics have no principles. No human principles on how we want to live. Because if I get money, I'm not getting money to get more money. I'm getting money to live better, right? And with the politicians is the same. The politician has to represent the will of the people in the parliament and not impose his motherfucking will on the people. This is a problem.
Okay, and now that we've touched on politics, what is your view on global politics right now?
Everything is corrupted. Money rules. You cannot win anymore, because the moment you get elected is the moment people are using mafia tricks to subdue you. Because the moment you have something to lose is the moment you are is the moment somebody controls you. So let's say you all of a sudden become president of Germany and have all power. Let's say. Then all the economics, all the banks, and all the insurances will come to you and say, you have to do what I say. If you don't, I will strip you away of all your money, and you can basically rot. Because if the economy is gone, then all the people have nothing to eat anymore, because they have implemented a system that the people are not sustaining themselves, but they are dependent on food manufacturers and water suppliers and all kinds of garbage. Instead of making the system like the people can sustain themselves in smaller areas, they make it so that everybody is dependent on one food supplier, on one gas supplier, on one electricity supplier. And if that guy's gone, then all the people have nothing. This is a problem. So the problem is that if you get elected with all your beautiful views, let's say Barack Obama had beautiful views, I don't know, but he cannot just push through, because the banks are going to tell him, you have to do what we say to you, and if you don't, we are going to strip you off of fundamental economy. So they always have to find a middle way, a middle agreement. This is what I said, that the economics are the most corrupted at all, because the politicians, they have even if they don't have principles, they have ideas which they want to be known for. They want to change the world. They want to do something. But the economics, they have no principles at all. They're serving their God, the money, you know. The more money, the better. How? I don't give a shit. And this is a very big problem, because the money don't care about your principles. If I'm, let's say, Rothschild, and I own all the banks, and I have all the money, then I have all the power. then I can, when I sit down with my mother or with my father or with my daughter, I don't speak about how to raise my children. I speak about how to subdue Congo into a slave country by empowering, let's say, Germany or Nigeria through economic power, so we can take all the resources from them, and they are doing everything that we want, because this is power. This is how power works. The more power you have, the more you want power. So therefore, this is maybe a sick view, but this is reality. So the problem is that the people are good, and the people have given power to the politicians for a long time, but they don't understand that for a long time now, for the last 10 to 20 years, they have changed laws all the time in a subliminal way, so that it's almost impossible now for entire globalization to get out of it. Because what the people are doing is they are demonstrating, but it's not enough anymore, because the politicians aren't listening anymore, because the media is also in the politicians' hands. If you're demonstrating like with 1 million people, what are you going to do if nobody is broadcasting it? You know, we had a demonstration here in Munich with, I don't know, 500,000 people maybe, and they say, yeah, well, about 10,000 were there. You know, they're just lying. So at some point, talking won't be enough anymore. This is the problem. You know, the French Revolution, they didn't talk Louis out of the Versailles. They killed him. Same with the October Revolution. But the difference now is that back then there was only one king and you knew whom to kill. Now there's the entire global market is the enemy. And if you just replace one guy, let's say Trump, then it won't affect anything. This is also the problem. What the Americans are not understanding is that it's not Trump their problem, it's their entire system their problem, and all our systems. So it will be a creative and interesting way to find out how to take course of the ship. You know, how to take course of the ship into a progressive style of living, and not the economic style of rupturing and taking away everything from everyone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's been great talking to you, Karlo. And I just want to ask you one last question. Okay, being someone from your perspective, you know, you've been a refugee, you've seen the war, and you've studied philosophy. What advice would you give to the listeners who to if they want to make a good difference or change the world into a better place? How would they do it?
First of all, I would like to say they should definitely relax, okay, and not be afraid, and not take too much info, because we are living in a world in which on a daily basis you get a lot of info on Facebook and Instagram and media and whatever, and you kind of get lost. So what I want to say to the young people, and I'm talking about people of, let's say, 20 years, maximum 20 years, because if you're after 20, you're already in the system, that you should never give up on yourself and always pursue your goals, and don't let anyone talk you out of what your inspiration is.
So that's the end of it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is your host, Elmo Ador Jr., and thank you for listening in. And please subscribe. Please follow us on Facebook. Please follow this. Please. Thanks.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.
Whatever brings you the most joy this holiday season, Best Buy has the tech to make it happen. Maybe it's welcoming your guests with a sparkling clean home with the help of a new robot vacuum, or cooking dinner to crispy perfection in less time with a new air fryer. Or maybe it's just a cozy holiday movie marathon on a new flat-screen TV. Best Buy has you covered no matter what you're looking for. Get your gifts at Best Buy fast and free, including free next-day delivery on thousands of items. Visit bestbuy.com or download the app to shop now.